Hi there, and welcome to What Kind of Life Path Number 5 Are You? This is the 5th video in a series of 9 videos I'm creating for you to understand exactly what kind of a life path number are you. There's so many different ways of being a 5. It's no longer okay for you to say, I'm a life path number 5. I want to know what kind of a life path number 5 are you. You need to know what kind of a life path number 5 you are. So the reason for this is that there are various different sub-lessons that make up that number 5, and they're not the same for everybody. So we want to know what you specifically chose to put into your date of birth that creates your unique lesson plan. So let's take a look at how that works. So first of all, I want to talk about calculation methods. So we're going to be looking at a date of birth, March 25th of 1959. This is my date of birth. And when we add it straight across, as commonly a lot of people in numerology do, it adds up to 34, and 3 plus 4 equal 7. Okay, so that means I would be called a 34-7 life path number. But I struggled with that. When I first learned numerology, I was absolutely certain I was a 7, but those sub-lessons, I couldn't connect the dots to them. The 3 implied that I needed to learn how to communicate. You ask anybody that knows me, I don't need to learn how to communicate. Shutting me up is a bigger deal. Okay, so the 3 is I'm okay with the 3. The 4 is learning how to be on time and be focused and to be practical and grounded. I got all that, right? So those numbers didn't speak to me. So several years later, I learned the method that was taught by Matthew Oliver Goodwin, who was a master numerologist back in the 80s. So Matthew taught us this method here, where you break down each component to your date of birth independently. So in this case, March would be the 3rd month, the 25th day, add 2 and 5 together, it comes to 7. 1959, add that all together, it comes to 24, and 2 and 4 equals 6. So when we add the 3, the 7, and the 6, those are all those reduced numbers, when we add them together, it comes up to 16, and 1 and 6 equals 7. So you might say, well, and, a 7 is a 7, right? It's the same thing. It's not the same thing, because the way in which I go about becoming that 7 is different than the 34-7. So both of these calculation methods produced different results, even though the life path number in the end is the same. Okay, so in this case, I'm learning things I can relate to. The one relates to developing confidence in myself, learning how to be a self-starter, learning how to be independent, a leader, all that kind of stuff. I understood I needed to learn all that. The 6 related to responsibility, my need for perfectionism, all those sorts of things wrapped into the number 6. I got all of those. And on top of all of that, I also recognize that the 16-7 said I'm a much older soul than most, and I'm working on a karmic debt, which is a 16-7 karmic debt. Check, 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 check. I get it all, right? All of those things made sense to me. Now, I'm not saying that this is the only way to do it, okay? I used to say that. I'm not saying that anymore. What I've come to learn is it's important to do the calculations both ways, okay? I want you to tap into your sub-lessons. I want you to go, yeah, that feels right to me. Whether it's the first method or the second method, it doesn't matter to me. It's not about me being right. It's about you feeling your way into the numbers, because these are vibrations we're talking about, and only you know what fits. Only you know what you placed into your birth code. All right, so let's talk about the possibilities related to the life path number 5. So you could be a straight up 5. Okay, that's just a 5 that has no sub-lessons. You could be a 14-5 or a 41-5. 1 and 4 equals 5, 4 and 1 equal 5. You might think, oh, well, they're the same sub-lessons. They're not. I'm going to explain that to you here in a minute. Or you could be a 23-5 or even a 32-5 or even a 50/5. There's umpteen different ways that you can be a 5 life path number. Okay, so let's take a look at what the 5 actually means. Okay, the 5. It doesn't matter what kind of 5 you are, it all ends up to a 5. So we're going to be talking about the value of the 5. What is the big lesson? What is that life purpose all about? This is learning lessons related to managing your scattered energy. You guys are interested in everything, right? It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of the bling thing going on. Managing their intense need for freedom. You guys are the freedom seekers. You don't like to be held down. You don't want the 9-to-5 job. It's difficult for you to be trapped behind a desk kind of thing. You kind of feel like a caged bird sometimes. This also brings in the potential for addictions. The 5s love life. They love to taste life. They love to experience life. So it can bring in some addictions related to food, drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever. It's asking you to apply yourself in measured ways so that you can achieve the freedom that you want. So it's learning how to sort of settle down and be a little bit more focused. You guys are experiential learners, excuse me. And so that means that you learn better if someone shows you how to do something, or if you are taught on the job, or if you travel to learn something. You're people who bore very easily, right? If you're being taught something that doesn't apply to you, or that you just can't figure out how you're ever going to use it, over the head it goes, right? You have no interest in carrying on with that lesson. So you can become very easily distracted, but you're very flexible, you're very adaptable, very resilient to change. Change is actually a really good thing for you. All right, let's go look at the various ways you can be a 5. So there's the 14-5 or the 41-5, and you might say, well, okay, so there's a 1 and a 4, that's a sublesson, or a 4 and a 1, that's a sublesson. So what's the difference, right? Well, the 14, or I should explain that the lesson that's closest to the slash is the one that you're going to feel the most. Okay, so in the case of the 14-5, the 4 is closest to the slash. That means you're going to feel the lesson related to the 4 more than you'll feel the number related, the lesson related to the number 1. The 41-5, the 1 is going to be the more dominant lesson than what the 4 is. Now, the other thing we need to know is that the 14-5, that's a karmic debt. Okay, so the karmic debt is related to making really poor decisions in a previous lifetime that cost you everything. Okay, it cost you to lose everything, all your money, everything that you had, you lost it all. So it kind of speaks to you in a different language. Now, you might check out my video on YouTube. What does the 14-5 karmic debt actually mean? So the sub-lesson of the 1 relates to developing and tapping into your creative potential. It's about becoming a bit more confident, becoming more of a leader. It's about being original and authentic. And the sub-lesson of the 4 relates to focus and discipline and planning and responsibility and being very careful with your focus, understanding that you need a step-by-step plan. Developing confidence to create a plan to achieve the freedom that you're looking for. Okay, so when we take the 14-5, for example, that's a code, right? 1-4-5. The 1 says, I have to develop confidence within myself to create a step-by-step plan, that's the 4, so that I can have the 5, which is the freedom that I desire. So rather than just going, let's do it, right? You got to stop for a second, pause on that, come up with the plan, come up with a business plan or whatever it is you're trying to do, and execute that plan so you ultimately can get to the freedom point that you are looking for. Okay, now let's look at 23-5 or 32-5. So you can see there's no 1s here, there's no 4s here. So these are very different 5s than the 14-5 or the 41-5 is. So there's sub-lessons related to the number 2, which is about patience and diplomacy and partnership, and also the number 3, which is overcoming fear of self-expression using art or music, public speaking, writing, poetry, whatever you're going to do, so that you can have the freedom that you're looking for. Okay, so the freedom you seek is going to relate to expressing yourself in a partnership, right? How do we know that? The 2 relates to partnerships, right? The 3 relates to the group. So you've got to learn how to do both. You got to learn how to express yourself in the partnership so that you can have the freedom that you want. Okay. All right. And that's it. Keeping these short and sweet, so you can just kind of get a little bit of a taste as to what this is all about. I hope that you're starting to understand now that there's more to being a 5 than just being a 5, right? So you are no longer, unless you are simply a 5 life path number, you usually have sub-lessons that get you there. And as I illustrated in my life path number, there's a big difference, right? So I want you to be invited into checking out my Clarity Seekers community. We're teaching live numerology classes in there. There's live master classes every month. And these aren't just, you attend the class and you type and you chat and whatnot. No, these are live Zoom classes where you hook up with me. I hook up with you. We're talking numerology. We're talking about all things spiritual, all things metaphysical, all things that go bump in the night, right? We've got everything in there. Expert speakers every single month that you'll be able to connect with. Monthly oracle card readings, life coaching. We've got astrology classes. We got all kinds of cool stuff in there. So I really hope that you'll consider checking us out. It's $22 a month. That's less than a coffee a week, right? So no excuse, right? I want to see you in there. I want to see you thriving. I'm super passionate about helping you to understand who you are, why you're here, what the heck you signed up for. And let's get you moving on your path. So you can check us out at AnnPerryNumerologist.com. Scroll down to the bottom. There's a link right there. It'll take you right in there and it'll explain everything to you. So I'm looking forward to seeing you in there. For now, I'm hoping that you are creating your best day ever. Take care and bye for now.